people here on the call so we can all have an amazing time. All right. We are currently 18. I think we're expecting about 30 people. So we still have about 12 people to join us today. All right. But for those of you that are here, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we'll kick the ball rolling because we don't want to waste time. We have a very important topic to discuss today. All right. And by the end of today's session, you'd walk away with a playbook to help you transition from your current career path into a career path that is high paying, highly in demand, and also comes with visa sponsorship. Okay, so ensure that you get your colleagues here so they don't miss out on the session today. Very important. All right, so let's get cracking with the session today. Okay. All right. So I'll spotlight myself to be sure that you can all see me at any given point in time. Okay, brilliant. Now you can see my slide. Just give me a thumbs up before we start. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my slide. I'll just type in the chat. Okay, thanks, Oluwaseun, Oluwatobi, Blood, B-Lord, Lawal. Thanks for joining today. All right, so just before we start, I'd like to know one thing you want to gain out of today's session, just one thing. So our topic today centers around how to transition into high-paying jobs in the UK with visa sponsorship without starting over. That's very important. So for those of you with 2 years experience, 5 years experience, 10 years, 15 years experience in a different sector, different industry, how do you retain the years of experience that you have even while transitioning to another career path? Okay, so you all sent in some feedback to us before joining this session today. So I've looked at everything you sent and I've tailored this session to your specific needs and your pain points. So I'd like to know one thing you want to gain out of today's session. Just type it into the chat and then I'll tailor my session to what you want to get out of the session. I think we are 20 at the moment, so I think it's a good number for us to go, and I'll be waiting for the first person to send a message. So what do you want to gain? Oh, Adeza, my visa is currently expiring in the next couple of months. I want to get a job that'll sponsor me. That's what you want to get. Type into the chat. I'd love to know exactly what you want to gain from the session today. All right. So let's see the first message. Haven't seen any feedback coming yet. So once again, just type into the chat. Love to know what you want to gain out of our session today before we kick off. I'd need just from 2, 3 people, and that'd be enough to tie the session to your specific needs. Okay, so I can see some messages coming in from Lawrence. Higher paying senior roles, high paying jobs from Oluwatobi. Fantastic. Okay, so just one more and then would dive into the main meat of our session. Oluwaseun is saying, I want to know how to apply for data analyst jobs correctly so I can get a job ASAP. Fantastic. Okay, so high paying jobs, high paying senior roles, how to apply for data analyst roles correctly so I can get a job ASAP. Brilliant. So let's get right into our session today. All right. Now, why are we here? Before we dive into the main meat, we are here for a particular reason. And one of the reasons is simple. For so many people here today, before we dive deep into our session, I want to talk about the real reasons why many of us are here. Like I said, I read the feedback, I read the messages you sent while filling the form, and I tailored this session to the things you sent to us. Now, so many of you are here today because this session is not just about how to transition. For many people, it's about survival. It's about stability. It's about growth. And it's also about creating a better future, not just for yourself, but also for your families. All right. So most of you here today are physically exhausted. You are tired of long shifts, emotionally draining work for those of you in healthcare, support workers, care workers, healthcare assistants, and so on and so forth. And you want a role where your body is no longer paying the price for your income. You want a role where you can work remotely and you don't always have to do bedside care. You want a role that give you enough time for yourself and also for your family. For some of you, you are carrying the silent pressure of your visa uncertainty. And what goes through your mind every time is you have to leave the UK. You may have to leave the UK after sacrificing so much time, so much money, and so on and so forth. For some of you, you've moved to the UK for your master's, you are done, you're on your post-study visa, your visa is running out, you've not been able to land a job, and you are confused on what to do. Okay, so it's not just about landing a job, it's also about securing your future in the UK, staying back in the UK, getting that sponsorship, and getting your skilled worker visa. And of course, for a group of people here today are also scared of starting from zero. So what this means is you have X number of years of experience back in your home country, and you think moving into a new career path would mean that you lose the work experience you have in that industry or sector that you've gained work experience in. Okay, so I want to let you know that you won't lose your work experience, and I'll walk you through exactly what you need to do. And I'll try to keep this session as fast and straightforward as possible. So less than about an hour and a half, we should have enough time to go through the presentation and also take questions. So I'll show you how to do four things today. Number one is I'll show you how to convert your current work experience into a job in tech within 6 months. And the jobs would also come with visa sponsorship. Like somebody said, how do I apply to senior roles? How do I apply to data analytics roles? How do I get visa sponsorship and so on? How do I apply to the type of roles that would qualify or are eligible for sponsorship? I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to learn the skills, more importantly, because it's more difficult than ever today to land a job in the UK. It's a competitive job market in 2026. So if you don't have the right skills, and more importantly, if you don't signal the right skills to the potential employer, you won't land that job. All right. I'll show you how to gain work experience. So for those of you currently doing something different, so maybe you are doing, you are a care worker, you are a nurse assistant at the moment, you want to get into data analytics, business analysis, and so on and so forth. How do you gain work experience to show employers you're the right person for that job? I'll show you how to do that. And finally, before we wrap up today, I'll show you how to get started today, the 16th of May. All right. So just by way of introduction, who is 10Alytics and what are we all about? 10Alytics is a leading educational technology company focused on helping professionals, helping people land high-paying jobs within the tech ecosystem. We operate out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK. And over the last 5 years, we've been able to help over 4,000 people with no prior experience, no prior knowledge, no prior background in tech. We've been able to help them transition into the tech ecosystem. We've helped nurses become healthcare data analysts, healthcare reporting analysts. We've helped accountants become financial analysts, project managers. We've helped bankers, ex-bankers become cybersecurity analysts, GRC analyst, and so on. We have 172 plus full-time employees and also access to over 300 industry experts. And these are the experts that would work with you, hold your hands, and ensure that you are able to transition seamlessly. And we focus on areas, most especially within data analytics, health tech, business analysis, data engineering, data science, and so on and so forth. But I'll laser focus on a couple of areas today, not every single thing that we have to offer. And the reason is simple. I looked at the data you sent to us, the questions you answered, and you were very specific. Like just the gentleman or the lady, I'm not entirely sure, who sent a message to say, I want to know, that's Oluwaseun, I want to know how to apply for data analyst jobs correctly. Okay, for some of you, it's about visa sponsorship. For some of you, your visa is expiring in the next couple of months. For some of you, you have your ILR, but you want to get a job where you can work remotely or work hybrid, sometimes go to the office, sometimes work from home. Okay, so I've tailored the session and I'll be recommending 4 key areas that if you focus on any of these areas by the end of today's session, you will find yourself in a job that is high paying before the end of 2026. All right. So I'll do a quick introduction about myself before we move into the main meat of the session today. And my name is Adeza Suleiman, just like Elijah introduced earlier. I'm a technology expert with over a decade experience cutting across management consulting, data analytics, data engineering, data science. I'm the founder of 10Alytics and the co-founder of Amdari. And using these two platforms, we've been able to help over 4,000 people with no prior tech background to land their very first jobs within the tech ecosystem. I can call myself a career transitioner myself because my first degree out of the university was industrial chemistry. I studied industrial chemistry. So just like you, I did not study computer science, computer engineering. I did nothing related to technology. My first job out of the university was as a management consultant. So I had no clue what it took to become or what it takes to become a data analyst at that time. But what did I do? I was able to transition. Okay. I made a lot of mistakes. It took me so long to transition because I had no guidance. I wasn't working with a structured curriculum. So I made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, I still see a lot of people making the same mistakes I made 12 years ago. All right. I'd highlight some of those errors, some of those mistakes, so you don't make them yourself. Okay. So my experience spans across currently work as a data analytics and engineering contractor in Canada. I've worked as a data science consultant in the UK, as a customer insights analyst in the UK. I've worked for companies in the US working remotely back when I was in Nigeria. I've worked with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa as a data analyst, as a management information systems analyst, and I've worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank of Nigeria. My experience spans across 5 sectors, from financial services to energy to educational technology to sports and so on and so forth. All right. Now, before we dive into what the ecosystem today in terms of sponsorship looks like, I want you to ensure that you fill the attendance form. My colleague Elijah would post the attendance from time to time. Oluwaseun would also post the attendance so you don't miss out on anything I'll be sharing today. The recording, the slides, and everything we'll use today, I'll share that with you before we wrap up or by the time we wrap up. So make sure you fill the attendance. Now, sponsorship has totally changed from what it used to be in the past. You are no longer just applying to jobs when you apply to jobs today. You are asking for companies to spend thousands of pounds on you. And this is simply because the cost of sponsoring you has gone up by 32% since last year. So prior to 2025, it would cost a company about £3,000 to sponsor you on a 3-year skilled worker visa. So £1,000 per annum. But that has changed. It has increased from 1,000 to £1,320. So for an organization to sponsor just you for a year, their cost has increased by 32%. So a 3-year skilled worker visa would cost £4,000 to sponsor you today. And for the 5-year visa, which is what a lot of people would want to get, which is what you would want to get as well, it used to cost about £5,000 at £1,000 per annum. But today, it costs £6,600 to sponsor you. Now, I want you to ask yourself the question, why would a company spend this much sponsoring me? What's special about me? What do I have that other people don't have? Okay. And the reason why it's gotten expensive is simply because the Home Office is protecting the interest of UK citizens and they want to make it more expensive for any organization to hire a foreigner or hire a student who is on post-study visa and want to sponsor them and so on and so forth. Okay. So companies don't sponsor people who need a job in 2026. They sponsor people they cannot afford to lose. I want that to sink in. Organizations today in 2026 would only sponsor you when they realize they can't afford to lose you. So when a company sponsors you or when they hire you, what they are simply doing is making a financial investment in you. All right. So how do you reciprocate? How do you ensure you position yourself for the jobs available so you compete for the best jobs and you stand out in the midst of competition and you eventually land that job? Now, I'll give you the strategies you need to follow step by step and what you need to do. Number one, and these are the strategies we've used to help over 4,000 people. Like I said during my introduction, over the last 5 years, in August this year, 2026, 10Alytics would be 6. So over the last 5 years plus, we've been able to help over 4,000 people to land jobs within the tech ecosystem. The audio is echoing. Okay, I'll stop that right now. I think I know what's going on. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so I think this should solve the problem. All right. So over 4,000 people have been able to land jobs, moving from their previous careers into careers within the tech ecosystem. So I'll give you the playbook that they used that helped them transition, land visa sponsored jobs. And I'll share a lot of success stories with you and everything they did to get those jobs. Number one is get into a high demand career path, a career path that is eligible for sponsorship. That's one of the first things you want to do. So this is where you want to take a pen, take a notepad, make sure you don't have distractions wherever you are, and jot things down so you don't forget some of the things we'll share with you today. So when you get into a career path that is high in demand, you make getting the job 10 times easier because employers are actively searching for you. All right. And like I said, I looked at the feedback you gave to us, and I'm going to recommend 4 career paths to all of you here today. And these 4 career paths are the career path that would make the difference for you in 2026. So for those of you that said you already have ILR, you simply just want to get into a career path that would give you the opportunity to work remotely, a higher paying job. For some of you that said you don't have sponsorship, your visa is almost running out. You need to switch and land a job. You need to move from your post-study visa. You need to get a job. For those of you that are dependents, for those of you that are students, and you'd be graduating in a couple of weeks, and you want to compete for the best jobs out there that will give you sponsorship. These are the career path I want you to focus on. All right. Number one is the healthcare data analyst role. The healthcare data analyst role. Number two is the healthcare business analyst role. The healthcare IT project manager role. And finally, number 4 is the GRC analyst role, the governance, risk, and compliance role. And these are roles that are not just high in demand, but they're also high paying. So the healthcare data analyst, for example, you're looking at an income of around 52,000 to 60,000 pounds per annum. For the healthcare business analyst, you're looking at about 52,500 to 70,000 pounds per annum on the average. As an IT project manager within the healthcare space, you're looking at over 57,000 pounds to 80,000 pounds per annum. And as a GRC analyst, about 50,000 pounds to 65,000 pounds per annum. Now, these are the four areas I want you to focus on. All right. So confirm, Oluwasegun, that the audio is clear, the audio is good right now. Okay. So I had another device connected and I believe that's where the echo was coming from. But I've turned that off, switched it off right now, and I'm sure everything should be fine. So my audio is fine. Just let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up, and I know we are good to go. Brilliant. Clear. Thanks for that, Oluwasegun. So these are the four career paths. Somebody talked about data analytics. As a healthcare data analyst, you are simply a data analyst. The only difference is you focus within the healthcare space, all right? And if you don't want to get into the healthcare data analytics role, I'll show you exactly what you need to do, exactly what you need to learn, so you can apply to jobs in other sectors, other industries outside healthcare. But these are the career paths that'll get you that job the fastest. These are the career paths that'll get you the sponsorship the fastest. And these are the career paths that'll get you that high paying job that is high in demand, that employers are looking for candidates today to fill these roles. Okay, so that's number one you have to do. Get into a high demand career path. And I want you to type into the chat. I want to know, out of these four areas, the healthcare data analyst, the healthcare business analyst, the healthcare IT project manager, and the GRC analyst role, which of these roles are you interested in? Just type into the chat. You don't have to be totally correct. Just type into the chat. Ben is asking, what's your thoughts on data engineering? Is it also high in demand? Absolutely. And I would also speak about that, Ben. Okay, type into the chat. Mojishola says healthcare. So the healthcare project manager, healthcare business analyst, healthcare data analyst. Okay. Aboderin says healthcare business analyst. Let's get more. Omotayo says healthcare business analyst. Let's get more feedback. I'll talk about data engineering for the gentleman who asked, and any other area that you think we should talk about. I'd also would have an amazing time with questions and answers. Okay, so feel free to keep the questions coming. You can put that in the chat and I'll take those questions, pop in there from time to time. Healthcare business analyst, fantastic. Brilliant. So that's the first thing you want to do. Okay. And that's exactly what people like Ikmat did. Ikmat had a 2-year employment gap. All right. She had moved to the UK to complete a master's in public health. Ikmat wanted to restart her career after 2 years out of the workspace. She had just given birth. She took care of her kid for 2 years. She stayed at home while doing that. Now she moved to the UK for her master's and she wanted to restart her career and not just get a job, but also secure visa sponsorship. So what did she do? Ikmat identified a career path that was high in demand. And while she was doing her master, she realized that she was not learning the skills required when she searched for jobs. And that was where she realized that if I graduate from my master's, I really would struggle to land a job because I would not have the skills to compete for the best type of jobs available. So what did ICMAT do? Uh, Sorry, I'm just going to mute everybody. Yep. Sorry about that. So we don't have any more distractions now. So what did ICMAT do? ICMAT joined our data analytics program. We worked with ICMAT. We helped her on her CV. We helped her, we equipped her with all the skills she needed. She worked on projects. She built a portfolio and she landed a job as an information analyst with the NHS. And this role came with full visa sponsorship. Ikmat had no experience in healthcare. Ikmat had never done anything technology before. Everybody said, oh, the best way to, get a job is go do a master's. The easiest way to move to the UK is through a master's. She did that. She moved to the UK, but she couldn't land a job. What did she do? She did data analytics, learned all the skills she needed. I worked with ICMAT personally in preparing her, ensuring that she had the right CV. She applied properly, knowing where to apply, how to apply, and ICMAT was able to land the job as an information analyst with the NHS. She's still on that role up till today. That's ICMAT's story. You have Toyin. Toyin was a pharmacist back in Nigeria. She moved to the UK, also couldn't land a job. What did Toyin do? She wanted to land a job within her domain, which is healthcare, as a pharmacist moving from Nigeria to the UK. So what did Toyin do? She joined our data analytics program as well. She applied to multiple health tech roles consistently. We helped her tailor all her applications. She knew where to apply, she knew how to apply, and she landed her first job with the NHS as a benefits analyst and the second job as a pharmacy data analyst. And they all came with visa sponsorship. Ikmat got a job 3 months into the program. So she had not completed the program before she landed a job. And I'll talk about how she was able to land this job 3 months into the program and what helped her, what she learned from 10Alytics that helped her get the job within 3 months. Same with Toyin. Toyin was still in the program. She had not completed the program before she landed a job. And there's a reason why that is consistent and why that happens all the time. And I'll share that with you as one of the strategies you also need to take note of. You have Pavel. Pavel came from Cameroon, moved from Cameroon to the US. He worked as a teacher, had experience in education, had never done anything technology before, but he wanted to land a job as well, a high-paying job, a job where he could work remotely, a job that would position him for progression in the future. High in demand today and would always keep on being in demand over the next 5 to 10 years. So what did he do? He joined our data analytics program as well. We helped him work on his CV, his LinkedIn, equip him with the skills in data analytics, worked on projects, built a portfolio, and he tailored his CV to a healthcare data analyst CV. And last year in March, Pavel was able to land a job with the Arizona Community Physicians in Tucson, Arizona, in the US as a healthcare data analyst. And this is somebody who had never worked in healthcare. He had a background in education, but he got a job as a healthcare data analyst. And I'll show you how he did it and how you can also do the same. All right. For those of you that have healthcare experience, you've already done 50% of the job. So if you are a healthcare assistant, a care worker, a support worker, you are a GP, a physician, a healthcare assistant, you've done a master's in public health, you have a background in healthcare, somehow you've done 50% of the work already. And I'll show you the other 50% you need to add to ensure you are able to get a job, just like Pavel did as a healthcare data analyst. Okay, you have somebody like Ramat. Ramat worked as a customer service rep. Today, Ramat is a business architect with the NHS. She also got this job before she completed the program. And remember, I said I'll walk you through exactly the reason why these professionals are able to get jobs before they complete the program. How did they do it? Within 3 months, within 2 months, within 4 months, and so on and so forth. So Ramat knew she was never going to get sponsorship as a customer resolution agent because that was what she did in the UK, working with British Gas as a customer resolution agent. So what did she do? She joined our business analysis program. We worked with Ramat. She built the skills, she built projects, built a portfolio, applied to multiple jobs consistently. We showed her where to apply, how to apply. And when her interview came, we prepped her for her interview. and she was able to land a job as a business architect with the NHS, also full visa sponsorship. All right, from her supporting statement, every single thing she needed during the job application, we worked with her to ensure she was able to land the job. And you have someone like Sharon. Sharon was able to move into from a healthcare assistant with the NHS. She moved to another role within the NHS as a business data analyst within the space of 3 months. Sharon is Kenyan. She left Kenya. She moved to the UK. She got a job as a healthcare assistant with the NHS, but she wanted to do more. She wanted to leave bedside care. She wanted to do something that would help her work remotely, have more time for her family, and more time for herself. She joined our business analysis program sometime in March 2025, last year. And within the space of 3 months, in May, she was able to transition into a business data analyst role. And this was a role that also came with sponsorship. Now, how did these professionals do it? Remember, number one was they all got into high demand career path and career path that were eligible for sponsorship. That's one of the most important things you do. And when you've done that, number one, you've placed yourself in a position where employers would look for you, employers would want you, they want your skills, and they keep on hiring for that role. So you've positioned yourself for opportunities within the space. So when you've done that, what's the next thing to do? And that'll take me to my second strategy for today. And that is you must learn the skills required to land that visa sponsored job. Okay, so you've gotten into a high demand career path. How do you learn the skills? Okay, Kelvin is asking, what sort of apps do you use to be an analyst? So specify the analyst, Kelvin, data, business, let me know, and then I'll walk you through the specific tools and technologies. We are still going to get there, but I can give you that ahead of time. Okay. So data analysts, number one is problem solving. So I'll take a pause before I go into this, how to learn the skills, because that's strategy number two. So once you've identified the career path, the next thing is you must learn the skills. And how you learn the skills determines if you would know how to do the job or not. While I was transitioning myself over 12 years ago, I made numerous mistakes. I learned technologies that were useless. I never got to use them. And I did not learn some technologies that were useful because I had no guidance. All right. So number one thing you need to learn, Kelvin, when transitioning into data analytics is problem solving. So a lot of people jump into tools, they jump into applications. If you do that, Kelvin, you'd make a big mistake. I did that myself. All right. So your first instinct is to start learning that fancy thing that looks interesting. But no, problem solving is number one. Because every analyst role, every data analyst role, your fundamental objective is to solve problems. Okay, so you learn different techniques and frameworks, how to get to the root cause of a problem using techniques like the 5 whys, how to break problems into multiple parts using the McKinsey-Macy model, how do you prioritize the problem to solve first and the one to solve last using a prioritization matrix, and so on and so forth. Understanding different frameworks to solve data analytics problems like the CRISP DM framework. Okay, so this is where you ask yourself the question, following the framework, do I understand the business problem? If I understand the business problem, do we have the data to solve that problem? If the answer is yes, where is the data? If the answer is no, how do I get the data? Okay, when I get the data, is the data clean? Is it useful for me to start analyzing or building my model? This is all problem solving. All right, so you learn all these things, analytical mindset, and so on and so forth, before you move into Excel, Microsoft Excel. Okay, from Excel, you move into SQL, Structured Query Language, which is a common denominator across all data roles. Then from SQL, you move to Power BI for data visualization. Then you move to Tableau, which is another BI tool, data visualization tool, business intelligence tool. So knowing Power BI and knowing Tableau gives you an edge over so many other people. Then you learn data storytelling, how to tell a story from the data you've analyzed, the dashboard you've built, the reports you've generated. Then you must understand how to use AI as a data analyst using generative AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude, for example. And finally, you'd learn Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric brings everything together for you. Okay, so you have a Power BI feature in Microsoft Fabric, you have a SQL feature in Microsoft Fabric, you have a data warehousing feature in Microsoft Fabric, and so on and so forth. These are the tools and technologies you would need to learn. And I'll talk about and elaborate on that as we move on. But since you asked, I thought I should just quickly mention. All right. So I'm not going to, so we don't have too many distractions in between. I'd answer the questions I think would add value even before I get there, so we don't have too many disruptions. Now, what's the second strategy and how to learn the skills? And this is where a lot of people make mistakes. I made the mistake myself. I learned tools that were not necessary, not relevant. I never got to use them. I've worked for companies in the US. I've lived in the UK. I've worked for companies in the UK. I live in Canada. I've worked for companies in Canada, and I never got to use those tools. One of them is MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB. So I learned MongoDB simply because it sounded fancy. And there was a time I was applying to jobs and I saw MongoDB as a requirement. And I thought it was necessary for me to learn MongoDB as a data analyst, but it was just a waste of time. And that's something a lot of people still do today. So once you know the tools to learn, the technologies to learn, how you learn those tools and technologies is also very important. And I'll break that down, the exact way to learn that would ensure that you know exactly what to do when you get that job on day one. Okay. Before I get to how to learn and how to learn the right way, I'll quickly walk you through the career path I've highlighted today. For example, the healthcare project manager. What does a healthcare project manager do? What's their responsibilities on a day-to-day? I'll summarize this very fast and we'll move very fast. Okay. So a healthcare project manager's role is very straightforward and very simple. A healthcare project manager is that person who is responsible for planning, organizing, and making sure that projects within that healthcare organization is completed successfully, which means it's completed on time, within budget, and it works properly for the employees within the organization and also the external stakeholders. All right. So let's take, for example, a hospital wants to implement a new system, a new electronic healthcare records system to replace the old system. That's a major project. It's a complex project that would involve all the stakeholders within that, organization, within the hospital, the doctors, the nurses, the IT team, the vendors. It would involve so many people. All right. So what does the healthcare project manager do? What do they do? What's their responsibility? They ensure that they define the timeline. How long is this going to take? What are the key milestones and the key deliverables? How do I coordinate with everyone on this project? With the doctors, with the IT team, with the vendors? How do I coordinate seamlessly with them? How do we ensure that the budget we've set out for this project, we're able to achieve the budget with the resources we have available? So I'll be asking key questions like, how do we ensure that the patient data is migrated safely? Because we are moving data from an old system to a new electronic healthcare records where the patient's records would be stored. So how do I ensure that the data is migrated safely, is migrated securely, and to also ensure that none of the hospital operation is affected while we are carrying on this project. So these are the type of questions the healthcare project manager would ask. All right. So at the end of the day, what they want to ensure would happen is that system is launched on schedule, on time. The hospital operations continue smoothly while they are launching and implementing that project, and the patient data is safely, securely transferred, because medical records are very sensitive. Medical records have a lot of regulations around them. So these are some of the things the the healthcare project manager would ensure they focus on. And at the end of the day, they deliver a successful digital transformation project. All right. So I want you to see that person as somebody who would, they define the goal of the project. They break the team into small teams and coordinate every team member and ensure that everything goes on smoothly. If there's any obstacle, they are responsible for removing the obstacle. They would have project meetings, project updates. They would communicate with the hospital management. This is what we've achieved. This is what is outstanding. These are the potential risks, and so on and so forth. So you're having a lot of conversations. You can't be a project manager, a healthcare project manager, and you're somebody who is shy, or you're somebody who does not like speaking in public. You're somebody who doesn't like leading from the front. That's not a job role for you, because you'd hold a lot of meetings, you'd follow up on deliverables, you'd hold your team members accountable, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's what the healthcare project manager does. So what do you need to get into this role? Domain knowledge. You need to have knowledge within the healthcare space. And that's why I said, if you are here today and you already have healthcare knowledge, it doesn't matter in what capacity, as a nurse assistant, healthcare assistant, as a GP, as a nurse, in whatever capacity, as a care worker, support worker, you have some healthcare knowledge. You have a gold mine on your hands. This means you know the industry, you know the sector. Yes, you would learn about it. If you don't have experience, what do? We equip you with that experience. Okay, so you start to learn how to use the right terminologies. You know what an electronic healthcare records means. You know what a medical healthcare record means. You know what patient data looks like. You know what the GDPR is all about regarding patient data, patient safety, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what domain knowledge is all about, understanding that particular sector. Then you must add project management skills. So you're going to learn things around introduction to project management methodologies, project management structure. There are different project management methodologies. You have waterfall, you have agile, and then you have wagile, which is a combination of agile and waterfall. So you learn these methodologies. You learn the foundation of agile and scrum, communication on projects. You want to understand the scrum frameworks, the scrum artifacts, and so on and so forth. You'd learn how to use agile metrics and reporting, the velocity, burn up, burn down charts. You'd learn how to use tools, just like the gentleman asked the other time for data analytics. You'd learn how to use tools like Jira to track project deliverables. So when you have projects that are running, you have a tool that helps you track the deliverables on that project. Are we on time? Are we not on time? What are the risks responsible? And it has an AI feature that helps you summarize, and you know exactly where you stand, where you are at any given point in time. Now, the worry for so many people is, how do I learn this? You don't need any prior knowledge, any prior experience for you to get into this career path. We've had people who had zero knowledge, zero experience. They did not even have healthcare domain knowledge. They had never worked in healthcare, but today they are healthcare project managers. And I'll share some of those stories with you today as we move on. All right. You'd learn how to use Confluence to collaborate on projects, Trello to track your team members' responsibilities and their tasks, You'd learn how to use generative AI like ChatGPT for project management and Draw.io to map out processes as a project manager. And your salary in the UK, about 57,000 to 80,000 pounds per annum. So it's a fantastic career path. It's a career path that gives you the opportunity to work remotely. It's a career path that gives you the opportunity to escape the career you don't want to do today because it's in high demand. And once you have the skills, that's one way for you to leave your career path today and move into the healthcare project manager role. All right. You can work remotely, you speak to your team members, get updates, hold your meetings virtually, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's for the healthcare project manager. Then I'll move to the healthcare data analyst. So for anybody who is interested in becoming a data analyst, the exact same skills, the exact tools and technologies you'd learn as a healthcare data analyst are the same exact tools and technologies you'd learn as a data analyst. Okay, the only difference is as a healthcare data analyst, you focus on healthcare data, medical records, healthcare records. But as a data analyst that wants to work in other industries and sectors, you'd work on other types of data, retail, sales, financial, research, and so on, customer data, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you want to pay attention right here so you understand exactly the tools and technologies you'd need to learn. But what does a healthcare data analyst do in the first instance? So I'll use a very quick example to answer this question. And at the end, I want to know if you'd understand what the healthcare data analyst does on a day-to-day. Okay, so you have a mid-sized hospital, and that hospital currently faces ICU congestion. So there's a lot of people in ICU, intensive care. Okay, so you have bed shortages. The cost of patients keep on rising inpatient costs. And the hospital management wants to improve the process, okay? They want to improve bed utilization, the patient flow, cost efficiency, and also the quality of care. And by doing that, the leadership wants to know, they want some questions answered. They want to know how the length of stay, vary. Sorry about that. They want to know how the length of stay vary by department. So which means if somebody is in oncology, do they stay longer than somebody in orthopedics? Or does somebody who have a headache stay longer than somebody who has arthritis? So they want to know the length of stay, how it varies by medical condition, by the department, by the bed type, and so on. So there are three questions the hospital leadership wants to answer. Which medical condition has the longest length of stay? Which department has the longest length of stay? And what type of beds have the longest length of stay? These are the three questions. So what does the healthcare data analyst do? They go into the medical records, the database, and they extract the data from the database. And it would look like something like this, like what you have on my screen. This is a screenshot of what a healthcare record could look like. Okay. So you have the visitor ID, the visit ID, you have the patient ID, the admission date, the date the patient was admitted, the discharge date, the date the patient was discharged, the length of stay, how long did they stay, 6 days, 3 days, 5 days, 4 days, and so on. The medical condition, the departments, was it oncology, cardiology, orthopedics, and so on. Then you have the doctor ID. That's the doctor that attended to that patient. Of course, the ID of the doctor, not necessarily the name. And this is how you'd see the healthcare, records, properly coded, especially for safety and also for data privacy. Very important. Then you have the hospital bed. So as a healthcare data analyst, you take this data, but it's impossible for you to answer those three questions by just looking at the data or trying to do it manually. So what do? Just like the question that gentleman asked me the other time, what applications do I learn how to use as a data analyst? So the healthcare data analyst would do something. They take a tool like Excel or Power BI or Tableau, and they analyze the data to generate a report that is easy to understand at a glance. So the first question, which is which medical condition has the longest length of stay? It is easy to now see that tumor has the longest length of stay, significantly higher than stroke and seizures. So tumor is number one on the list in terms of people that come to the hospital that have tumor, they stay longer than everyone else. And also for those who have cancer. So question number one has been answered by doing what? Getting the data from the database, analyzing the data using Excel or Tableau, and presenting it this way in a dashboard format that makes it easy for anybody to understand and answer that question. Second question is, which department has the longest length of stay? That becomes very easy because we now have a dashboard rather than a data set that looks like this, where we have to count and look, manually to answer the question. All right. So we can see that dashboard and we can see that the department with the longest length of stay is what? Oncology. And then you have which or what type of beds have the longest length of stay. And that's the private room. The private room has the longest length of stay. So what does the healthcare data analyst do after presenting this? Summarize. So what's the summary? What's the recommendation? As a data analyst, what have you seen and what are you recommending for us to do? Because remember, your role as a data analyst, as a healthcare data analyst, is to help to answer questions, to help to solve problems. That's your fundamental objective. All right. So here you put your summary and say the data set reveals that tumor and cancer has the highest length of stay, respectively, with the oncology department leading among medical conditions and so on and so forth. Recommendation: the hospital should explore optimizing the oncology department processes to reduce the length of stay, potentially freeing up additional resources for other patients. They should also invest in efficient treatment protocols for conditions like cancer. This might contribute to shorter stays of patients. You're not a medical doctor, but what you are doing is you are recommending based on what the data says, not based on your intuition or based on how you feel or how anybody feels. You are analyzing exactly what the data says and you are presenting that to the hospital management. And by doing this, you've taken a data set that looks confusing and you've converted it into a dashboard that is easy to understand. Anybody can look at that and they can answer those three questions easily. That's the role of the healthcare data analyst. They do what? They analyze healthcare data or clinical data and they support better medical decisions within the hospital. They help to reduce costs. They help to improve operational efficiency, and they also help to improve patient outcome. So they take the data, they analyze the data, they generate a report like this. It's easy for us to answer questions and take decisions that would lead to better patient outcomes. And a healthcare data analyst can work in multiple organizations, hospitals, government health agencies, health insurance companies, health tech companies, pharmaceuticals, and so on and so forth. Fantastic career path. And for somebody that asked the other time, how do I apply to jobs? I'll show you. We'll do a very quick, application, sprint for maybe 5 minutes, and then we come back to the rest of the career path. Okay. So before I move on, do we know what the healthcare data analyst does. Type into the chat yes or no. Do you now know what a healthcare data analyst would do in an organization? Type in a yes or no. Type in a yes or no. Do you now understand the responsibility of the role of a healthcare data analyst? Yinka says yes. Beckley says yes. Brilliant. Toby says yes. Lawrence, yes. Fantastic. Okay, so let's keep it interactive. All right. So I share, you also share. We have an amazing session when we do that. So what do you need to learn? Like I was explaining to the gentleman the other time, you need to have domain knowledge, understanding of the healthcare sector. If you don't have experience in healthcare today, you would learn during your learning, during your training, you'd understand the metrics to look at. What type of KPIs do I analyze? How do I analyze length of stay? How do I analyze things like um, the patient's costs? How do I know what particular treatment works best for chemotherapy, for cancer? What chemotherapy treatments work best, and so on? How do I analyze that type of data so that when I'm in front of a potential recruiter, like an organization like the NHS, I can speak the same language that they understand, and they know that I have the experience to do that job for them. All right. So you learn the domain knowledge and then you also include data analytics skills. So you learn problem solving. I explained that earlier. Excel, SQL, structured query language. This is a language that enables you to interact with databases because organizations will not keep data in a flat file. The data would be in a central location that is safe and secure. So you need to understand how to use SQL to get access to that database to help you answer questions and extract the data that you want to extract from that database. Then you learn Power BI, a business intelligence tool to visualize. You see that dashboard I showed you earlier, this one, it was built using Microsoft Excel. So you would also learn how to build dashboards like that using Microsoft Excel. And the beauty about this is you don't need to have any previous experience. ICMAT that got a job with the NHS, zero experience with the use of any of these tools. Same with Ramat, same with Tony. Everybody I've shown you so far that have gotten jobs, they had no prior experience, they had no prior background within the space. Okay, so that's one of the fears a lot of people have. Will I be able to do it? Do I have the knowledge? Would I have the experience? Would it be difficult? Do I need to go and learn how to code? These are the fears a lot of you have. You don't need to learn how to code. You don't need to go learn mathematics because you want to become a data analyst. These are the key learning areas for you. Tableau, data storytelling, generative AI for data analytics using ChatGPT, and Microsoft Fabric for analytics. And as a healthcare data analyst, you are looking at over £52,000 to about £60,000 per annum. And one of the best places you can look for these roles, I'll quickly show you that before we move into the other areas. One of the places you want to check and you want to look at is the NHS. The NHS is one of the largest recruiters of talents in the UK. We have over close to 300 alumni working in the NHS. This is people that have gone through 10Alytics and currently work with the NHS, not bedside care, not as, medical practitioners, but as business architects, healthcare data analysts, healthcare reporting analysts, business analysts, healthcare, project officers, and so on and so forth. Okay. And I'll share a whole lot of the success stories with you. So one of the places you want to check Of course, I'll show you where we curate these jobs and we share them with you to make it easy for you to apply in a single location, right? But you can also apply with the NHS. You go to NHS Jobs. It's a publicly available platform, and all you need to do is type data analyst, for example, data analyst or business analyst or project manager, depending on the role you want to look for. Click on search and you would see numerous roles, over 3,000 jobs currently available. Of course, you can filter down using the location, your postcode, and so on, depending on where you reside and where you want to get that job. That would narrow the jobs down to your specific region, your specific location, your specific city. And you'd see different roles, data analyst, lead data analyst, and so on and so forth. Or better still, you can simply just type analyst and you see all the analyst roles, testing analyst, and so on and so forth. You go to the next page. What I want to do is I want to search for information analyst. It's one of the popular roles the NHS recruits for. And an information analyst is a data analyst. These are the things we teach you how to do. So at the beginning of the session, somebody asked, how do I apply to data analyst roles and get the job fast? This is what you do. You need to know the different roles within data analytics because you've learned healthcare data analyst does not mean that the only type of job you get is a healthcare data analyst job. No. You can get a job as a healthcare reporting analyst, information analyst, data analyst, benefits analyst. There's so many roles within that same space. So let's search for information analyst, for example, and you'd see numerous roles, information as senior information analyst, specialist information analyst, advanced information analyst, and so on and so forth. And this is the beauty about it. So when you see this, you feel like, oh, it's a senior role. I can't get this job. It's above me. But let's get into this. Let's see let's click on it and let's see the requirements of the job. So this would close on the 31st of May. All right. Although it's a fixed term contract, it's not a full-time permanent role. It's a fixed term contract for 12 months. But let's see the responsibility, the job description essentially. So what do they want? The person specification. When you're applying to the NHS, the person specification is absolutely critical in your supporting statement and how you put in your application, which are the things we teach you how to do. Okay. So what do they want? They want somebody who has experience using what? SQL. Take a note of that. They want somebody who has advanced knowledge of what? Excel. Make a note of that. They want somebody who has knowledge of one or more computer system, hardware or software. That's pretty much straightforward. What else? Desirable. Cognos SQL. That's still SQL. All right. So certificate of sponsorship. Those who require skilled worker sponsorship to work in the UK are welcome and will be considered alongside other applicants. So for those who want a COS sponsorship, this role also, they would consider that, all right? So it's a good role to apply to. The salary is not fantastic. And in terms of the threshold, you need to also check to be sure that you'd be able to get your skilled worker visa at the end of the day. But what do they really need from you? They need SQL, they need Excel, and that's pretty much it. Data quality and so on. And guess what? What I've shown you in the curriculum, the key learning areas, what you need to land a job as a data analyst includes everything they need for that senior information analyst role, and you'll even get to learn more. They want you to have only SQL. Let me go back and show you. They want you to have SQL and they want you to have Excel. But you're going to learn more than that. You'd learn Power BI, you'd learn Tableau, data storytelling, problem solving, and so on and so forth. I remember I told you I was going to tell you how Ikmat was able to land that job about 3 months into the program. I mentioned that earlier, right? I'm going to tell you how she did it now. Okay. Ikmat joined our data analytics program. She got a job in 3 months. It came with full visa sponsorship. She currently works as an information analyst, similar to the role I just showed you. The NHS wanted somebody who knew Excel and SQL, the exact same requirements they have for that senior information analyst role. They wanted somebody who knew Excel and they wanted somebody who knew SQL. Ikmat at that time had learned Excel and she had also learned SQL because you start with problem solving, you learn Excel, you learn SQL. So she had learned it at that time in 3 months. So what did she do? We encouraged her to apply. Don't wait until you finish. Look at the job requirements. What do they want from you? You already have the skills they want. So why wait, 2, 3 months before you apply to jobs? You can start applying now. And Ikmat started to apply. At the time she got invited for an interview, she had gotten to Power BI. So during the interview, even though the NHS did not want Power BI, Ikmat told them that one of the things I'll do when you hire me is to convert your Excel reports into Power BI reports. And they were highly impressed and they gave her the job. All right, I'm going to show you Ikmat's profile very quickly. Fantastic professional, doing very well for herself within the NHS. And that was how she got the job. So the strategy is very straightforward and very simple. We encourage you to apply to jobs even before you are done. And the focus is for you to look at the job requirements. So we show you how to do something called a job match. You look at your CV. What have you learned at that particular point in time? What do they want for that particular role? Have you learned the skills that they need? So even if you've not done everything, you've learned those skills. Apply. We prep you for the interviews and you get the job. So this is Ikmat's role, information analyst. And before that, data analyst with 10Alytics. And I'll show you why this is very important. How you position yourself to that employer to show them that you are not a beginner. You've done that job before and you can do the job for them. Okay, I'll show you where that becomes very critical in the whole strategy. So that's Ikmat, and that's what you need for a healthcare data analyst role. Now let's get to the healthcare business analyst. A lot of you selected healthcare business analyst. Okay, a lot of you selected healthcare business analyst. What does a healthcare business analyst do? Very simple. A healthcare business analyst is responsible for one particular aspect in that hospital, and that is what? Processes. Every organization in the world have three things that keeps them running: people, processes, and technology. The healthcare business analyst focuses on what? Processes. So they look within the organization. They look within the hospital, the healthcare organization, and they identify problems with the process. And they recommend solutions on how to make that process more efficient. So if a process currently takes two days or 3 days, how can we make the process efficient in a way that it takes 2 minutes or 5 minutes? What do we need to do? What do we need to implement? Do we need to automate and so on and so forth? And the business analyst would recommend what needs to be done. Okay, so that's in a nutshell, that's what the healthcare business analyst does. Okay. So the healthcare business analyst, let's take, for example, a hospital they currently have a problem, and that problem is patients always walk in. So too many walk-ins into the hospital, and they want patients to book an appointment before they come to the hospital. So the business analyst looked at the process and understands that, okay, from the start of this process to the end of the process, there is no easy way for the patient to do what? To book an appointment from the comfort of their home. So what we need is a patient management system. So the business analyst would speak to all the stakeholders, interact with the stakeholders, the hospital administrators, the medical doctors, the nurses, interact with them, understand where the issues are, the inefficiencies, and then come up with a recommendation. Also speak with the management to understand, okay, we want to launch a patient management system where patients should be able to book appointments from the comfort of their home. What else should we have on this system? They document all the requirements. Okay, we need patients should be able to book appointments online. Okay, we want patients to be able to track their medical records online as well. So they document all those requirements and they take that and give it to the technology team that is responsible for building that patient management system. So you are doing a lot of conversations, interaction, communication, interviews, understanding what you need, understanding what should be built, and then you work with the technology team to ensure that everything the management says they want, the healthcare administrator, that person in reception, everything they say they want within that patient management system is delivered when the patient management system is ready. So you interact with the technology team to ensure that everything the stakeholders have requested for or have required gets delivered, and everybody knows how to use that system. That's what the business analyst does. Okay, they ensure that processes are streamlined, processes are seamless, and processes are efficient. So if something takes 2 days, and when we implement that patient management system, that should solve the problem of too many people walking into the hospital and causing congestion within the hospital or the ICU. Okay, so they answer key questions. All right. At what stage do patients experience the delays? And at the end of the day, they implement the patient management system. They train all the employees on how to use the patient management system. They create communication to external stakeholders, the patients themselves, to understand that we now have a patient management system that you can use to book appointments online from the comfort of your home. Okay, that's the responsibility of the business analyst. So just like the project manager, you can't be a business analyst and you are somebody who is shy. You're somebody who doesn't like talking. You're somebody who doesn't like interacting with people, interviewing people, asking questions. You would not do very well as a business analyst. As a data analyst, you don't have to do so much talking. You get to work behind your computer, create your reports, make a presentation, give your recommendation, and that's it. All right. But as a business analyst, you are interacting, you're communicating, you are documenting, and you are interfacing with the team that is building and ensuring that everything goes the way it has been planned. And that's your role as a business analyst. All right. What do you need to learn as a healthcare business analyst? Domain knowledge, um, analysis skills, and of course, you start with Excel, Power BI, and SQL. These are data skills that you must understand, even though you are a business analyst. Then you learn process mapping using tools like Draw.io. That's mapping a process from start to finish. How does the process start and how does it finish? Where are the gaps and inefficiencies? So you learn how to do that. Project initiation and planning, Agile and Scrum for projects, software development life cycle. So you learn how to use tools like Confluence to collaborate on projects, Lucid Charts also for your process mapping, Trello to track team members' tasks and responsibilities. And of course, you learn Excel, SQL, Power BI, which is your data skills. You learn how to use Jira to track deliverables, Azure DevOps to implement the agile methodology on projects, and of course, generative AI using ChatGPT as well. We are in the era of AI. You can't be anything today without knowing how to complement your skills with AI. These are the skills, the tools, the technology that get you into a healthcare business analyst role or a business analyst role. Okay, very important, critical, and this is a role that gives you the opportunity for that financial stability. Business analyst earns tremendous, fantastic amounts. This is that role that gives you the opportunity to land a visa sponsored job. All right, easily, because the business analyst, especially the healthcare business analyst, is super high in demand. And the beauty about all the roles I've highlighted so far, these are roles that don't require you to have any previous prior knowledge or prior experience. Within the space of 6 to 8 months, you learn all the skills, you build work experience, and this gets you into the job that would sponsor you and also a high paying job. All right. And the last role I said I'll share with you today is the GRC analyst role, the governance, risk, and compliance analyst. If you've ever wanted to do cybersecurity and you don't want to code, you don't want to write scripts, you don't want to do anything technical, then the GRC analyst role is for you. The GRC analyst is a professional who does what? They help that organization to stay safe, avoid problems, and ensure they comply with industry regulations. So if you've ever worked anywhere before in a structured environment, when you get into the company and there is somebody who is responsible for assigning emails to you, there is somebody who is responsible for giving you access to specific systems, or you need access to this particular system, or you need access to this particular data, and so on and so forth. There is a policy around it. For example, if you are a data analyst, a healthcare data analyst, the moment you resume in that hospital, the policy on how to handle data, you get that policy immediately. The access to the data, you get access to data by making, by requesting for access. Maybe you go through your line manager goes to the head of IT, and they give you access to that database. The person that came up or that comes up with that policy on how to give access, who has access to what, who has restrictions to access a particular system or data, that's the GRC that does that. The GRC ensures that there is a governance framework within that organization. Okay, the policies that guide who has access to what, how do you gain access to this system? They ensure that the organization is safe in that regard. How does data flow, and how does data get from one location or one system to the other system, and who has access to it? They analyze risk and ensure that all the risk or potential risk that could emanate from that organization, they know them and they mitigate the risk as much as possible. And compliance. As a medical organization, you have the GDPR if you're in the UK. Okay, how do we ensure we comply to all the regulations within the industry? How do we carry out compliance audits and ensure we are there to all the regulation, all the standards within that industry and the sector? That's the role of the GRC analyst. So your role is to come up with a lot of policies, analyze the risk, and that's what you do on a day-to-day basis. So if you've done administration, you have some legal background, you are somebody who you've worked in customer service for a long time, you want to get into cybersecurity, but you don't want to do something technical, the GRC analyst role is fantastic for you. And these are roles, like I mentioned earlier, that it gives you access to visa sponsorship. So you get a job, you can get a COS, you can apply, you get your skilled worker visa. It is eligible for the skilled worker visa. And all you have to do to check some of these roles, very straightforward. I'll quickly show you that in a couple of seconds so that we can start to wrap up our session for today. I'm going to show you two more strategies. I've shown you get into a high demand career path. Number two is you want to learn the right way. And I've shown you the skills you need to learn. All right. So you have the gov.uk, the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. If you just type eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa on Google, it's going to bring up the skilled worker visa eligible occupations for you. All right. If I go to 2135, for example, 2135, cybersecurity professionals. Okay. And under cybersecurity professionals, you'd see the governance specialists. These are governance, risk, and compliance professionals. Okay. And if you scroll more, you'd see the IT business analyst. We've talked about the business analyst, the project managers, and all the roles I've shown you so far. They are roles that are eligible for the skilled worker visa, which means they're eligible for sponsorship, essentially. So what do you learn in GRC? You learn a lot. You understand what you do as a GRC professional. You learn the compliance frameworks. You learn the landscape of compliance in GRC, enterprise risk, security controls and protocols, guide to databases, information systems, and so on and so forth. All right. How do you learn the right way? I'm going to walk you through that, how to learn the right way. Okay. And then I'll show you how to gain work experience. And we're going to wrap up from there. How do you learn the right way? So now you know all the skills, you know the tools, you know the technologies that are required. How do you learn the right way? A lot of people make this mistake, learning the wrong way. Two things you have to do to learn the right way. Number one is to learn in a project-based environment. What does learning in a project-based environment means? It means learning by doing the job. So if you want to become a healthcare project manager, you must do the job of a healthcare project manager. If you want to become a healthcare data analyst, you must do the job of a healthcare data analyst. You can't learn by watching videos. You can't learn by watching YouTube. You must learn by doing the job. Okay? And that's what learning in a project-based environment means. Okay? And when you do that, you must showcase your work. Showcasing your work is building a portfolio. You must have evidence that you've done that job before. So when you work in a project-based environment, and I'll show you what that looks like practically, the whole world needs to know that you've done this job before. And that's where your portfolio becomes very, very important. So I'll take you to a real classroom and I'll show you how you learn in a project-based environment. If you want to see how to learn in a project-based environment, type in a yes into the chat and I'd walk you through that. Dolapo is saying the policy in the UK differs from policy in the US or Canada. Do you consider this during GRC? Absolutely. Absolutely, we do. Different policies in the US and the UK. The UK, for example, works with GDPR in the healthcare space. In the US, you have in the US you have in Canada you have FIPA. In the US you have HIPAA, and so on. Different policies, different regions, different locations. Okay, so we do consider that for those across the different regions when you're learning GRC. I've only seen 3 yeses out of 39, so I'd wait for more before I go on. So the best way to learn is to learn by doing the work. You want to become a data analyst, you must work as a data analyst. You want to become a business analyst, you must work as a business analyst even before you get that job. And how do you do that? I'll show you how that works practically. Okay. So what you need to do is very simple. And this is where you must work in a project-based environment. And this is what a project-based environment looks like. All right. Just give me 1 second and I'll drop this. So when you work in a project-based environment, I'll take you to a class. This is a classroom for those in the healthcare data analytics program. So everybody here wants to become a healthcare data analyst. So what must they do? How must they learn? They must learn in a project-based environment. So they're learning Power BI, for example. It means that every single thing they do, they must solve problems for a hospital using hospital data, medical records, and so on and so forth. So when I'm learning Power BI, I'm not learning Power BI as a standalone tool, which is the mistake a lot of people make. I made that mistake myself. You go on YouTube, you try to figure things out. You are using Power BI to solve problems that are so irrelevant to what you'll be doing in the future. All right. So here you are learning Power BI by solving a problem for a hospital, a medical organization, a healthcare organization. So let's see what the project looks like, for example. So this is a project called St. Augustine General Hospital, and you are using Power BI to solve a problem that exists in that hospital. And what's that problem? The hospital currently has an issue with their data in different silos. And what you do is to use Power BI to create a data model for them. So you'd learn how to use Power BI to connect to where that data exists and use Power BI to create a data model so that it's easy to access the data and it's also easy to build reports using the data. So you'd see the problem they currently face, the rationale for the project initiative, the different workflows, the data dictionary. And at the end of the day, you're going to come up with a dashboard. Okay. So when you solve this problem, you're solving a problem, and this is data generated from NHS, generated from medical institutes in the US, in Canada, and so on. So if you are in the US, if you're in the UK healthcare program, because we have the classes broken into UK and North America. So if you're in the UK, you work with NHS data. Because when you land a job, that's the type of data you would see predominantly within the healthcare space. All right. So all the 200, over 237, 38 people, thereabout, almost 300 people that have left 10Alytics and gotten jobs with the NHS, the NHS would always assess you. They would always test you. They'll give you data sets to go back and analyze and come and do a presentation for them, a live presentation. We take that data, we use it to create case studies. We also get access to NHS data. We ensure that the data is private, ensure data privacy is strictly adhered to, so you can't tie any part of that data to an individual, any part of that data to any organization. And that's the type of data that you work with in class. So when you get on the job on day one, you'd see the same data that you've seen in class already. And that's why it's important to learn in a project-based environment. You cannot learn to become a healthcare data analyst by working with sales data or customer data or financial data. That doesn't work. And that's the mistake a lot of people make. Okay. So when I work on projects like this, I help St. Augustine Hospital solve this problem. Okay. When I'm learning Excel, let's go to Excel. I'm learning Excel. I'm helping a different other organization, Medcare UK Hospital, solve a problem using Microsoft Excel. When I solve these problems, what do? I must showcase my work as evidence that I've done that job before. And how do I showcase my work? I build a portfolio. And I'll show you what a portfolio looks like very quickly. What's her name again? Victoria. I'll show you Victoria's portfolio very quickly, okay? And just like what I showed you in class, the projects people are working on in class, learning in a project-based environment, Victoria solved this problem for a hospital, deep care hospital, solve a problem in their ER visit analysis. And what problem did she solve? She helped the hospital reduce the patient's wait time by 15% and increased the patient satisfaction by 20%. But that's not where it ends. Anybody can click and see what Victoria has built. Okay, you can see what she's built. You can interact with it. You can click. If I click on this to deselect, everything goes blank. I want to see data for only Q1. I click on Q1 and data for only Q1 appears. Number of ER patients, the average age. Victoria had no experience before joining this program. And when she worked on this, what did she do? You upload that to your portfolio. That is what we mean by the best way to learn. You learn in a project-based environment, learning by doing the real work for organizations in that sector you want to land a job. And when you do that, you showcase your work by building a portfolio. That is evidence that you've done that job before. Every UK employer today don't don't want to hear, they don't care about what you can do. They only care about what you have done. What can you do for me? What have you done before? So if you don't have evidence that you've done that job, you are wasting your time. All right. So you're going to work on multiple projects across, the healthcare space. For those of you going for the healthcare data analytics, the healthcare business analysis, and so on and so forth. When you've done that, you must also gain work experience because you are showing that you've solved problems in the past. You must back that up with work experience. So you must gain experience to show employers you are the best candidate for the job. And that's strategy number 3. If I'm competing with you for that job, you have gone to learn in different places. Your focus is on certifications. You've gotten all the certifications you think is relevant, but I come with experience. I'll be considered for that job 10 times before you are considered for the job. Why? Because certifications, credential is not a measure for how well you can do the job. But experience shows you've done it before and you can do it for me. And that's extremely critical to landing the job. And that's why experience, if you're in the UK experience is extremely important. If you're in Canada, Canadian experience is extremely important. If you're in the US experience is extremely important. You must show that you have experience within the context of the region you're trying to land that job in. And that's why you see when you go to LinkedIn and you see somebody like Ikmat, she listed 10Alytics as her work experience. I talked about Ramat. If you go to Ramat, the same thing. Ramat is also with the NHS as a business architect. You'd also see you both worked at 10Alytics. You'd also see her experience, 10Alytics, business analyst consultant. You are signaling to the potential employer that you have experience. You are not a newbie, you are not a trainee, you are not a learner. You have experience doing that job. It's extremely important for you to signal and position yourself that way. So the question now is, how do you gain work experience? I'll showcase more people eventually. Okay. How do you gain work experience? Because employers want to know, they want to see what you've done, and that gives them the confidence that you're better than the other candidates they're, considering. And when you come into the room, they already understand what you can do because they've seen your portfolio, they've seen where you currently work with analytics and so on and so forth. And they're more confident with how you respond to questions. And that's where you separate yourself from the competition. So one way you gain experience is through the project you complete in class. I've talked about that. Learning a project-based environment, showcase your work in a portfolio, and you also have your internship with Amdari. Amdari is a sister company to 10Alytics. And Amdari is also based in the UK, in London, in the UK. So you list Amdari as part of your work experience. You list 10Alytics as part of your work experience. And this gives you the opportunity to showcase and signal to potential employers that you have the experience to do that job. And I'll show you where that becomes extremely important. And when you've done this, you must also have evidence in the form of a portfolio. I've shown you what a portfolio looks like. These are links to more portfolios. You can click on that and see the projects these amazing professionals have completed. So make sure if you've not filled the attendance, make sure you fill the attendance. Okay, so you get access to all the materials that I'll be sharing with you today. So when you have identified a high demand career path, you have learned in the right way. You know all the skills you need to learn. You know you need to learn in a project-based environment. You know you need to showcase your work in a portfolio. You know you need to gain work experience. That is where the referencing comes in as number 4. So when any organization, especially in the UK, before they confirm you, they will do a background check. Where have you done this job before? And they want an organization to provide a reference. And this is what a typical reference looks like. This is Zulay. Zulay had no experience as a project manager, as a project officer. She had never done anything project, but she joined our program and she landed a job with the NHS as a project support officer. And of course, before the NHS gave her that job to confirm the job, they sent in for a reference. Okay, so hello Adeza Suleiman, that's me. We want you, the above named has been offered the post of a project support officer and has given us permission for us to approach you for a reference. Okay, so I complete the reference. They want to know what's the best way to work with Zulay. What are her strengths and weaknesses? Can she use this tool, that tool as a project manager, and so on and so forth. And we provide that reference to you. Without this, there is no way you say you are a project manager, you are a business analyst, and there is no reputable organization that can vouch for the skills that you say you have. All right. And that's why you'd see professionals when they list their work experience and they include 10Alytics, they include Amdari, the work experience now becomes easy. So where did you work as a data analyst, as a healthcare data analyst, as a healthcare project manager? I did that with 10Alytics. I did that with Amdari. And you get a reference from us. You also have Ahmed. Ahmed joined our healthcare data analyst program. He got a job as a health informatics support worker. So a lot of people ask me, Adeza, how do I get a job as a healthcare informatics specialist? This is what you need to do. healthcare data analytics. And that's what Ahmed did. He got this job in June 2025. And of course, the NHS would always reach out to say, provide a reference for these candidates. You have Mary. Mary got a job as a junior IT service desk analyst. Also with the NHS, Mary got this job in May, just about a year ago, and she's doing amazingly well. You have Ade. Ade works as a senior project manager with the NHS as well. How did he get the job? Similar strategy. All the strategies I've shared with you today. All right. And the NHS would always reach out. Any organization would always reach out. This gentleman got a job as a pathology data analyst, information analyst. This was in January this year, 2026. And these are professionals who position themselves not as trainees or as learners, but as people who have done that job before and they had the opportunity to request for a reference. And that's what you must also do. We have over 237 alumni working with the NHS, all on visa sponsorship. And from what you've seen so far, it's either they did healthcare data analytics, healthcare business analysis, healthcare project management, and GRC. And that's why I recommended this to you, to your community, based on the feedback that you had sent to us. If you want to land a job, you want to be the next group of people that would land visa-sponsored jobs in 2026, these are the career path you want to focus on. And there's no reason why you should not be the next person to land that job that comes with visa sponsorship in 2026. Okay, landing a high demand career path, landing a career path that comes with visa sponsorship starts from selecting the right career path. And once you've done that and you follow every other thing that I've shown you so far, you will get that job. Okay, so I'll summarize everything I've said up until this moment, wrap up in the next 5 minutes. We take questions, do a Q&A. I'll show you how to start your journey today. Is one of the things I promised you I'll show you how to do. How do you start today if you want to actually start your journey? So when you learn, you pick one area and then you focus. Focus is not doubling down and say, this is what I must do. Focus is eliminating alternatives. Because all the career path I've shared with you today are phenomenal. And for everybody, you'd want to do everything. And that's where people get so confused, they overwhelm themselves, and they really don't achieve anything. So what you want to do is eliminate alternatives. So when you choose one, let's say you're on the call today, which was the first exercise I said we should do. You want to get into healthcare business analysis. Select that and focus on that. Eliminate the other ones. It means if I'm going to focus on healthcare business analysis, I can't do healthcare data analytics. I can't do healthcare project management. I can't do GRC. If I want to do healthcare data analytics, it means I can't do healthcare business analysis, healthcare project management, and GRC. And when you focus on one career path like this, you will thrive, you will succeed by following all the steps, and that's what leads you to landing a job. So you double down and focus on the skills. That's the first thing you need to do from all what I've said today. The second is packaging. So packaging is where we present and position you as the best candidate for that job. We help you gain work experience. You use 10Alytics to gain experience. You use Amdari, our sister company, to gain experience. We help you with your CV. We help you with your LinkedIn optimization. And I'll show you how that works practically. Because one of the major problems I've seen with people is you've gone for different training here and there and you've gotten burnt. In fact, there are so many people in the UK, they've gone to a particular organization, and I'm not going to mention names. They've gone to this particular organization and they get zero value. Their internship is so messed up that they have to chase people to do the internship to, give them feedback on the project and so on and so forth. There are a lot of them that came back to us and they've been able to land jobs today. So one of the things we do very well is the support. We stand by you until you get that job. All right. So we show you how to gain experience. You use 10Alytics and Amdari. We work on your CV. We optimize your LinkedIn profile, your portfolio. You join our mentorship sessions. We help you prep for your interviews when you have interviews. When you get that offer and the request for a reference, we provide you with a reference. I showed you some of the references from the NHS. You have so many from the civil service in the UK, from other organizations. They always would request for a reference. And of course, when you get that job and there's a project that is a little bit difficult than you anticipated, we have on-the-job support to ensure that you know exactly what to do. So we work with you for a month, the questions to ask, how to approach a problem until you are able to get that properly sorted. And we show you how to apply, where to apply, how to apply, the number of jobs you need to apply, and we provide you with where to apply to visa sponsored jobs, the paid job market. And these are platforms that curate visa sponsored jobs exclusively, but you have to pay for it. But what we do at 10Alytics as an organization is we pay to those platforms so you don't have to pay. We curate those jobs and we make them available to you for free as long as you are a part of the program. And I'll show you what that looks like. And when you do this, you learn, focus, we prep you, ensure that we present and position you as the best candidate for the job. You know where to apply, how to apply. That is where you get that job that comes with visa sponsorship as well. So I'm going to walk you through what the platform looks like, which is the LMS. I'll show you what this looks like very quickly. So if you have an interview coming up, you don't need to chase anybody. You don't need to, run helter-skelter. All you need to do is go to your platform, go to where you have interview preparation and schedule an interview session. If your interview is on a Sunday, Sunday the 17th, for example, somebody will prep you for your interview today. If your interview is on Monday, the 18th, somebody will prep you for your interview on Sunday, the 17th. It doesn't matter when you have an interview, somebody preps you for that interview. That's the level of support you get. And that's why our participants have been so successful. So you fill all the details, you upload the CV you've used to apply, you select the interview stage. Is it the first round, second round, and so on and so forth. And then somebody joins the call, prep you for that interview. How do you optimize your CV? All you need to do, come to your dashboard, go to CV review, click on that. Okay. And all you need to do is you have so many roles you can select right here, or you can type the role yourself. What type of job do you want to get? What role do you want to get? Somebody said data engineering the other time. Somebody said, oh, I want to get a job as a healthcare business analyst. I typed that in. I want to get a job as a healthcare business analyst. Do you want to tailor your CV to a specific sector? So let's say you want to get a job in, of course, as a healthcare business analyst, you want to get a job in healthcare. Okay, so yes, I want to tailor, and I want to tailor it to healthcare. Okay, so let's say you want to get a job as a data analyst. Let's just change this to data. But you don't want to get the job in healthcare. You want to get the job in, let's say, retail. You can type it in there, retail. You copy your LinkedIn profile and paste it right here. Let me copy mine and paste so I can show you. I can show you how this plays out. So your CV review is done seamlessly. We do the first one for you. and we show you how to tailor that CV subsequently. So when it comes to applying to jobs, you don't have to stress yourself. You know exactly what to do. And that's where you get interviews a lot faster. Okay, so I'll copy my LinkedIn URL. I'll paste it right there in my dashboard. You can also paste your portfolio profile, the link to your profile. You paste it here as well, your portfolio. So you go there, copy, just like the one I showed you. This is Victoria's portfolio. So let's say Victoria was applying to this job. You copy the link to your portfolio, okay? And then you paste. Next step, you upload your CV. And when you upload your CV, you hit the button, Start Review. It reviews your CV and it does what? It optimizes that CV to the industry standard based on the industry you've selected and the career path, the job role you want to get. That's how easy it is for you. And when you've gotten this, we validate that what you've gotten is the right CV. You can always use this to keep on iterating it when applying to jobs. So we show you how to tailor that CV to job requirements. So you get a very good ATS score for every single job before you go ahead and apply to that job. All right. And that's the way your LMS works. Okay. So you go to your dashboard on a Monday, on a Tuesday. Your classes happens on Saturdays, typically your live classes. But on a Monday or Tuesday, you have some free time and you want to learn. What do? You've registered for, let's say you've registered for the business analysis program. What do? Click on continue learning. It takes you to your class and you can watch your videos right here at your own convenience, any day, anytime, anywhere. Okay, any day, anytime, anywhere. And you have the best facilitators. Vera, Fred Aaron works, she's a manager leading the business analysis team with Deloitte. So you are learning from the best in the industry. And these are the people that help you move your journey and ensure you learn all the skills and you are able to make that transition seamlessly. All right. When you have a class, you go to your classroom and you're able to join a class from your classroom, still on the same platform, and it is absolutely seamless. And of course, when it's time to apply to jobs, you don't need to worry yourself because we've gotten those jobs from paid job boards and we make them available. Not everybody would have access to those paid job boards because they don't want to pay to the platform. All right. So we pay to those platforms, we script those jobs, we vet the jobs, and we make them available in your job tracker. So if you go to the job tracker, I want to apply to business analyst roles, for example. I come here, type business analyst. I can see the jobs I can apply to. Okay. I can see different jobs. If I want to apply to data analyst roles, I can type data analyst roles. I can see different jobs. You see the ones that come with sponsorship. All right, I can click on that. I want to apply to this job. You can see this is for a company called Bending Spoons. It's a data analyst role. They're applying for, multiple locations, including London. And this role is a visa sponsored role. Okay, you see, a couple of them like that, the visa sponsored roles, and this is where you get to apply and get access to opportunities a lot faster than your counterparts. All right. So as we start to wrap up, a typical program with us will take 6 months of learning and 2 months of internship. But the beauty about this is you don't have to wait until the end of 6 months to start applying to jobs. Ikmat started applying after 2 months because she had learned problem solving, she had learned Excel, she was learning SQL when she started applying to jobs. By the time she got her first interview with the NHS, where she works today, she had not completed her program. She was on Power BI when she got that interview. We prepped her, she got in, and she told them that she would transform their reports into Power BI reports. And they were wowed by that because they did not require The requirement did not include somebody who knew how to use Power BI. They wanted Excel, they wanted SQL. She had that already, but she had something extra. Okay, so you don't need to wait until the end of 6 months to start applying to jobs. All right, so we show you where to apply, how to apply, and we nudge you to apply to as many jobs as possible. And then you have your 2 months internship. So for those of you in the UK, your class happens on Saturdays. Okay, Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. And you also have a class for those in the US and Canada, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're in the UK, for example, and maybe you miss a class and you want to join the class for those in the US or Canada, you have the opportunity to do that because that will be in the evening your time, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so that's you have that flexibility embedded. But your class, typically for those of you in the UK, is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. That's the only live class you have. Every other day, you're on the LMS, the learning management system, you're watching your videos, you're practicing, you're solving problems, and so on and so forth. All right, and then you have your mentorship sessions, which happens on Thursdays. Sorry about that. You have your mentorship sessions on Thursdays at around 10 o'clock for 1 hour. So the mentorship session is tremendous. I've not shown you what the mentorship session looks like, and I'll do that very quickly in 5 minutes. So the mentorship session is where you get to interact with industry experts. And I'll show you some of the recent sessions we had. Okay. So the most recent, which happened this past Thursday, is a session on how to move within the NHS. If you already work in the NHS, how do you move within the NHS without having to start from scratch? Okay, you have sessions like strategies to tap into the hidden job market, exploring job opportunities with the civil service and the NHS. And these sessions are taken by professionals that work with the civil service in the UK, that work with the NHS in the UK. So you are learning from people that are on the roll that you want to get into. For example, the gentleman who took this session on exploring job opportunities within the civil service and the NHS was just like you. He joined a free session like this. He paid, he joined our program, Healthcare Data Analytics, and today he works as a pathology data analyst with the NHS. We brought him back to mentor, coach, and guide people like you who are also looking to do the same. He's the same person that took this session on how to move internally within the NHS. And I'll show you, if you ever miss a live class, there's always a recording. You can always go to the recording, see what happened in class, so you don't
This is the
miss
second.
you don't miss anything. All right. And that's the gentleman right there. His name is Mawutin. Mawutin currently works with the NHS as a pathology data analyst. And just like so many of you, Mawutin was like you. He was an operations manager back in Nigeria. He moved to the UK. He was a support worker for a long time. He joined our healthcare data analytics program, and today he's a pathology data analyst with the NHS. He has come back to help other people like him who want to get into the NHS. You can see people asking questions. You have the opportunity to raise your hand and say, hey, Mawutin, how was the process? What exactly did you do? And so on and so forth. That's the beauty of the mentorship session. I take some sessions, the co-founder, Ifemena, takes some sessions, and we bring in other professionals within the industry that hold your hands and ensure that you have the best transition story, just like every other person that has succeeded. All right. So your journey looks like this for those of you starting with the next cohort in June. This is what your journey would look like in 2026, only if you take action today. All right. So those that will succeed in 2026. So next year, When 10Alytics is showcasing number of people working in this organization or people that landed jobs, those of you that would fall into that category are the people that begin their journey. You actually start something. You change something from what you've been doing before. You take action. So you start in June with the next cohort. By July, you started learning, you started building projects. By August, you've done your CV, you've done your LinkedIn optimization. By September, you started applying to jobs. Even before September, this is very moderate. By September, you start applying to jobs and start attending your interview preps. We prep you for those interviews when you get interviews after applying to jobs. By October, you secure your first job with visa sponsorship. By November, you complete the program. And by December, you decide if you want to join the internship or not. Why? Because you've already gotten a job. So for so many people who have gotten jobs before they complete, if the job gives them the time to still join the internship, a lot of them do. But if not, I've gotten a job already. Perhaps I don't need to join the internship. We've had instances like that. This is what your roadmap could look like, starting from June to December 2026. But like I said, what you decide to do, those that will succeed are those that actually begin their journey today. Okay? And that's how I'm going to wrap up my session. And I'll show you how to start, how to join for those of you that want to join. And the question I always like to ask is, are you happy with where you are today? Are you in the career path you want to be in today? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If you're in the right career path, fantastic. If not, you want to get a career where you have the opportunity to work remotely. You want to transition into a career where you'd have the opportunity to earn far better income than you earn at the moment. You can listen to everything I've said over the last almost 2 hours and you still remain where you are if you don't make a change. All right. Our next cohort starts on the 6th of June, 2026. And we have an amazing discount for you. For those of you that have stayed from the beginning up until this moment, we have an amazing discount. All right. And I'm going to play, I want you to listen to Ikmat because I think I talked about Ikmat quite a lot. I want you to hear from her just for 2 minutes. And then I'll show you the amazing discount we have. And then we call it a day. All right, because I spoke about Ikmat's story. She was a stay-at-home mom, currently an information analyst with the NHS. Let's hear her story. The link is also here. We had an interview with her too, but that's a long form interview. I'll play the short video of 2 minutes, and then I'll show you exactly what you need to do to join the cohorts that starts in June. And then I'll take questions for those of you that have questions for me, and then we call it a day. So let's quickly listen to Ikmat and enjoy Ikmat's story. It's a phenomenal story. I want you to enjoy her story. And then I'll show you how to start for those of you that want to be like Ikmat, land a job with the NHS, in other organizations, and so on and so forth. So let's hear from Ikmat.
Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat and I was with the March cohort in 10Alytics, and joining 10Alytics has been the best decision so far. You know, for me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, you know, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that 10Alytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, you know, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked, and I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, it was just they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a math test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have 10Alytics to go back to. They are the best, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable, one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, 10Alytics for the win.
Okay, so that's Ikmat. I like playing Ikmat's video because I know that it resonates with so many people. She got so many no's, but that didn't deter her. So what we do is when you have a virtual interview, we ask you to record yourself. So we listen to the questions after the interview, we listen to the way you responded, and then we give you feedback on what you should do better going forward. And that was exactly what Ikma did. And every next interview she got, she did better than the previous one. And today, she's also guiding and mentoring and helping other people to also get into the same position, just like herself. And Ikmat would say one thing: I use data for good in the NHS. Okay, so we have an amazing discount for those who will be starting June 2026. And I'll just walk you through that very quickly. We have 10 slots available. All right, 10 slots available for the discounts. And I'll just walk you through what it takes for you to get that discount and what the discount is really. And I think I have Mr. Bayo and Berkeley. I believe that's Miss Berkeley, who would also be speaking. They would like to come up and speak just before I wrap up. Okay, so I'll show you how to get started, but just stay back and listen to Mr. Bayo and also listen to Berkeley before we wrap up today. Okay, so the original amount, what it takes for you to go through any of the program for the next 8 months is £957, almost £1,000. But you have a discount of 20% where you don't have to pay £957. You get to pay just £766. And the beauty is you don't have to make your payments in one full installment. You can also make payments in as many as 5 installments. So what that means, if you select the 5 monthly payments, you have the option to start on the 6th of June, start your journey with just £153. And I'll show you how that works, how you can get to pay, and then would have Mr. Bayo, would have Berkeley come on board, and they have a few words with us before we call it a day. So how do I start today? That's the question. And that's one of the things I said I was going to show you how to do. So at Deza, I want to start my journey. I want to get into this career path. I want to register and start today. So what do I do and how do I start? So this is what you need to do. You need to, my colleague Elijah is going to share a link in the chat, Elijah or Luashion. Okay. When you click on that link, it's going to take you to the website. Okay. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it takes you to the website. That's going to look like this. Okay. So that would look like this. You go to the program you're interested in joining. So let's take, for example, I'm interested in joining the healthcare data analytics. That's the health tech analyst program. I'm interested in the healthcare business analysis. It's right there. I'm interested in GRC, governance, risk and compliance. That's it right there. So I select the program I'm interested in joining. So let's say healthcare business analysis. So I click on that. I click on enroll, and it takes me to where I create a profile. So I enter my name, I enter an email. I'll just do that in the next 1 minute, and I'll show you exactly what you would see. So I enter my email, enter a phone number, read the terms and conditions, select I've read the terms and conditions, and then you sign up. When you sign up, you create a profile for free. All right. And then you'd see the different payment options, the June cohorts and the July cohorts. So June means I want to start on the 6th of June. I want to get my journey started. I don't have any commitments and I really want to start so that I'm ahead of the curve and I can get a job a lot faster before the end of the year. Or you have commitments in June and you can't start in June, you want to start in July, but still take advantage of the discount. You can also do that. You select July. All right. So the discounts extends to not just the June cohort, but to July, but just for the first 10 people, not for everyone. So say I want to start immediately. I choose June and I go to the installment options. All right. Now I have the opportunity to make a one-time payment and even enjoy further discounts. So I'm going to change this to pounds. You can pay in any currency, in dollars, Canadian dollars, euros. I'm going to change it to pounds. Okay. So the original amount is 957. But if I make a one-time payment, I get to pay only 651 pounds, which means I save an additional 12%. So instead of the 20% discount, I get 32%, which means I save 306 pounds. That's a whopping amount I'll be saving, by making a one-time payment. All right. So for those that can make a one-time payment, it's absolutely phenomenal if you can do that. If not, you have the 2 monthly payments, which means instead of 957 pounds, I get to pay a total of 690 pounds. I save an additional 267. I make my first installment of 345 today, and I make the next installment the following month. Or the most flexible option of 5 monthly payments, which means instead of 957 pounds, I get to pay 766. And I can break that payment into 5 installments. I can start with 153 pounds. I make that payment today. I get into the program on the 6th of June. The next payment comes in July, August, and I make until I make my 5 payments, completely, essentially. So let's say I've selected the 5 monthly payments. So what do I do? I confirm my information is correct. I've read the terms and conditions, and I click on Pay Now. And one other option you have is, because today is the 16th of May, my next payment is meant to come 16th of June. But my salary doesn't come 16th of June. I get salary maybe 25th or 26th, depending. You can always change that right here. So I want to change the next payment to come in, let's say 25th. I can always change that. And I click on save, and that would adjust that for me. I can do that on my dashboard as well after making the first payment. You can also change that on your dashboard. Okay. So I click on pay now, confirm my details are correct, click on pay, and this takes me to the payment where I need to enter my card details. Okay. So I'll just enter my card details. Okay. Choose your region. Choose your postcode, click on pay, and the moment your payment is confirmed, you get redirected. You get redirected to complete your profile, and then you get access to your dashboard where you complete your onboarding. So payment successful. This would redirect me to complete my complete my profile. So I come in here, select the country, okay, gender, enter a phone number that will be verified, preferably a WhatsApp number. Okay. So I verify my phone and I verify my email. And once I've done that, I get into my account. Okay. I'll just wait for that to pop in. It's not coming yet. Let me see. I think I entered the wrong number. Okay. So that's correct. Correct. Send to my email as well. Okay, so you have an OTP sent to your phone, you have an OTP sent to your email. Once you have your OTP entered and you complete that, okay, so the one to my email is here. I'm just going to enter that very quickly. Okay, for some reason, I haven't gotten the one to my phone yet, and it's telling me too many requests. Okay, so you confirm your phone, you verify your let's see if it will come in now. If not, once you do this, you verify your phone number, you verify your email, and once you get that sorted, you get access to your dashboard. Okay, so once you get access to your dashboard, you complete your onboarding and you're home and dry. All you need to do is complete the onboarding. You download all the tools, the technologies you need to install ahead of your first class that starts on the 6th of June, 2026. All right. I think I'll take a breather at this point and then I'll take a few questions. And then I think I'll bring in Mr. Bayo and Miss Beckley. Let me see if I have them here. Elijah, if you want to coordinate that very quickly, if you are still there. Bayo, Sabayo. I'm not sure if that's Sabayo, but I
Yes,
believe
yes.
so.
Yeah, that's the bio, Adeza. So I've made calls.
All
Beckley,
right.
you two also have made calls. Over to you.
Okay. Thanks for that, Elijah. So Sabayo, if you are there, please, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak. And also Beckley, you can
Yeah,
also do that.
afternoon, everyone. I'll be filling in for Bio. My name is Beckley. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for this wonderful package. Just like one of your trainees said, you're literally holding hands, ensuring that from start to finish, it's a complete package and people get, they get value for what they're paying for.
Yes.
I would just want to, give room for few questions because I know the time is fast spent. And at the
Yes.
end of that Q&A, one of our pastors in the community would give us a closing remark. But this
Okay.
has been wonderful so far. Thank you so, so much. And I hope the people online are getting so much value and information on the meeting. Yeah. So over to you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Berkeley. I thought, you were a ladies. Apologies for that, but thanks for those kind words. And I'll take questions from the audience. If you have questions, please feel free. Drop your questions in the chat. I'll pick as many as I can.